everything had to be quick and instant breakfast and instant this and instant that. So now we've gotten away from that, and there's no way that all that processed food is going to give you the nutrition that you need. You know, when I used to visit my grandmother's farm in South Carolina when I was growing up, every meal was like dinner. You know, you're getting egg out of the chicken coop, and you're getting, you know, you slaughtering the beef there, you're eating that the next night and all of that stuff the next morning and everything. But what they did was they prepared meals, and the kitchen was the doctor's office. The kitchen was your medicine, because nutrition is what keeps you here, and the lack of it is what takes you away. So what a woman prepares for her children and her husband is what keeps your nutrition high. So that means that your mind is going to be more keen in the way it thinks, because when your nutrition begins to go down, all of your systems begin to go down along with it. So you're not thinking as clearly, you're having obesity, you're having high blood pressure, and then they're telling you the high blood pressure runs in your family. There's no such thing as that. You trying to tell me that a child is born prone to high blood pressure? No, sir. High blood pressure comes from what you eat. There's no, what it is bad diet runs in my family.
Right. Like, so a lot of, because I was told my blood pressure was high. And they say, oh, you have a lot of sodium in your diet. I said, well, I don't got high blood pressure. Just cut down on my sodium.
That's what you have to do.
You know?
That's what you have to do, brother.
So how do we retrain our people?
So what you have to do now is you have to learn, because they made us think that vegetables are nasty and different things like that are nasty. So if you learn how to cook them properly, you'll find how tasty they are. So again, that's why Elijah Muhammad said that we have to be retrained in everything. So we have to be introduced to a new diet instead of, you know, fast food, burgers and fries, and then you find out that they're treating the fries at McDonald's with chemicals to hook you on them. See, when you find out that kind of research, when you find out they went to China and they found out that some of that meat was horse meat, they told them, get out of here with McDonald's.
What?
Oh man,
I haven't ate a McDonald's burger in a year, so
man, I don't even go in there. But you know, so you find out all these things. I watched a thing on 60 Minutes where they have these different liquids that they can drop a liquid on something and make it taste like anything they want it to taste like. And you can't tell the difference. They could put some drops of that on a piece of bread and make it taste like a steak. The geniuses and chemical geniuses. So they weaponize all this stuff against us, right? And we get hooked on it. So now I get used to eating like this. So now it's a burden for me to be in the kitchen cooking. See? It's a burden, because why? I could go down here and get it. I got a drive-through. I sit there for 5 minutes and I can get dinner. I can go to Kentucky Fried and get dinner. I could go to, but take one of them biscuits and go like this, and it'll turn right back to dough. And don't know that most of that bread is filled with hog, which is, you know, unfortunately they got our people thinking that hog is okay. But if you look at Leviticus and Deuteronomy, it tells us right in the Bible that we shouldn't even touch its carcass. And then people say, how do they say, Jesus made all that okay. I forget the term they use, but they try to say,
He'll bless it.
Even though it's like that in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, they say it's cloven hoof and it cheweth not the cud, its carcass you should not even touch. Then they say Jesus made all that okay. I say, okay, show me what page that's on. Show me what page that's on.
But and then they say, well, that's the Old Testament. He did away with all that. Well, he didn't say, I have not come to destroy the law, but to
fulfill it.
Yeah.
So that means if I came to fulfill the law, what it says in Deuteronomy and Leviticus about not touching the hog, I shouldn't be touching it today. And another thing, why is that the only meat that you can go to a restaurant and you have to have it cooked? Why is it when you go and you have problems with your internal system, if you have problems with your liver or your kidneys or any of that, right, and your system is weak, they take you off pork while you're in the hospital? Pork free. Why is that? What's so special about pork that if my system is weak, I can't put that in my system?
Yeah.
See, we don't think logically. And then as soon as we get healthy, we go home and eat pork chops anyway. And we don't think, well, the doctor took me off pork, but he didn't take me off none of this. But I can't eat that. That means there's got to be something about that that's destructive to the system. Because if the system is weak and I can't eat it, that means that it's something that's destructive, that puts a burden on my system. Take a pork chop, take a piece of bacon, put it out in the sun and see the worms come out of it.
Oh, or is this an experiment? You put the pork chop.
Just put it out there, you'll see it.
Yeah.
They'll come crawling out.
Yeah.
So, and you can't go in a restaurant and order that medium rare. You can't order a pork chop medium rare.
It got to be cooked well.
It's got to be cooked well done.
And it still don't kill out the worms in it.
And then you're eating dead worms if they do. But the temperature doesn't kill the trichina and the roundworm and all those worms anyway. However, I'll just even give you, let's just say it kills the worms. Who wants to eat dead worms in their meat?
So these are the effects that are, many people don't realize that integration has actually done to our people. It's put us in these types of situations and circumstances.
Exactly.
So what does the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talk? What's the solution?
The solution is accept your own and be yourself. What we have to do is go back to what were we and who were we before we got exposed to this enemy that changed everything about us, that took our land, our language, our culture, our love of self, our God. They took everything from us. We have to go back and understand who were we before this was done to us. And then we have to rediscover that. And it's not going to happen overnight, but piece by piece, because we're righteous people by nature, so we have a forgiving nature. What people have been treated like us and still are treated like us and still have forgiveness in their heart for the enemy? Look at the Jews, what happened to them in Auschwitz, right? For that short period of time, I think it was 10 years, and they're telling you never forget.
Yeah.
But over 400 years, we were done like that, and they're telling, oh, forget about that, that was in the past.
Right. You're making excuses.
But we're still done like that today.
Yeah.
It's just a more strategic slavery. The penitentiary is the new plantation. That's the new plantation. People don't even know they do credit cards in the penitentiary. They buying books in the penitentiary. They upholster chairs in the penitentiary. They do soap in the penitentiary. They do underwear in the penitentiary. They do license plates in the penitentiary. They make the limousines in the penitentiary. They do all of those things in the penitentiary. They fight the fires in the Sierras. From most of those guys that are fighting those fires are guys from the penitentiary. They don't tell people that.
And then to add on to what you're saying, brother, I found out that Michael Jordan, the money that he makes from buying his shoes, he invests in the prison system. So I tell young brothers, they like, oh, why you don't wear Jordans? I say, you investing in your own prison cell.
It's on the stock market now. It's big business.
Yeah.
Now look at this. You got all these buildings that you built all around the country, right? Now, if you try to let's just say you have a concerted effort to rehabilitate all these people, right? And they get out and they don't come back. What are you going to do with all those buildings and the people that are employed in those buildings? They're out of work. And the buildings has to be shut down. Why? Because there's nobody to be housed anymore. So they're not trying to rehabilitate. They want recidivism because capitalism is predicated on a poor class. And they say that 0% unemployment is inflationary. They say that's bad for the economy. So they're never trying to get to zero unemployment. Never. If you talk to any economist, they say that's inflationary. So capitalism has to have a poor class because they're parasitic and they have to have a host to live off. So they want poor people. That advances their society. They're never going to try to employ all of us. Never.
Wow.
And then they give us the menial jobs and all of that stuff, and you can barely pay your rent. And man, the best thing for us to do is separation, not isolation, because a lot of people take separation for isolation. We're not going to be isolated in some corner, and we just over there by ourselves, just dealing with, no, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is separation, and we establish ourselves with our own community, with our own businesses, with our own schools, with our own banks, with our own hospitals and all of that, and we gain the power to look to them eye to eye. Now I'm dealing with you man to man. Now if you want to deal with me on that level, that's fine. I'll deal with you as long as you deal with me justly. If not, I've established enough over here where I don't need you anymore. That's what separation means. It don't mean isolation. We're not trying to be isolated somewhere, and we're not going back to Africa because our blood drenches the soil of America. We earned the right to stay here.
Right, but the Moors were here anyway.
Anyway, but we earned the right to stay here, even as so-called Negroes.
Right.
Because our blood drenches the soil. We built most of the things. We built Washington, D.C. We did the electric lights. We did the escalators. We did all of that stuff. We invented the first cell phone. See? First open heart surgery, we did. Blood plasma came from a black man who ended up dying because he couldn't take advantage of something that he invented.
Wow.
So these things that we don't know, with very little knowledge, we were able to advance. That's why we had the Black Wall Street and Rosewood and all of that stuff. What did they come and do? Burn it down.
Yes, they did.
So they don't want us with knowledge. They don't want us with that. They want us still thinking that we Negroes and niggas and all of that stuff. Why? Because they know that we're superior to them in terms of our abilities. That's why in sports and music and everything that they allow us to do, we always go to the top. Always. And that's nothing to, and that's not discrimination, that's just a fact. I mean, look at Serena Williams and her sister. Their dad taught them how to play tennis in the park from a book.
Wow.
And they took over the tennis world.
Yeah. Wow.
They didn't have all these fancy coaches and all that stuff. They bypassed the amateurs.
Wow.
He taught them in the park and then sent them to the pros. And before Serena came, when Venus was there, he said, if you think Venus is good, wait till her sister get here. She's better than her.
Wow.
So everything they allow us to do, we excel. The cream always rise to the top. So the only hope that they have is to keep us in a state where we think we wear ignorance as a badge of honor. That's the only hope. If we ever get rid of that idea that white people have a monopoly on intelligence, they have done.
Wow.
And if we get the idea that they're outnumbered in the world 11-1, now look at that. They got all of us calling ourselves minorities. Look how many minorities we have. That's so they continue to be like the dominant culture.
Yeah.
See? But if you go to Cuba, you'll see people look just like me and you.
They just speak Spanish.
They just speak Spanish.
Yeah.
You go to South America, same thing. I met people until they started talking, I thought they was from Harlem.
Right.
They're from Cuba. You see? So you go to South America, the same thing. You go to Africa, the same thing. You go to various different parts. Matter of fact, the minister said you go to Arabia, you go to all them places. The people there are black. Just they show us the ruling class, which are always light-skinned people.
Wow.
But now, imagine we get the idea that unity, and we're all one, and we all unite on the basis of light-skinned people ruling the world, and every country that you go in mostly, right, is not an accident. Because we started out ruling, the black people started out ruling. How did it get changed? See? From oppression and changing the mindset. What they do is they get in here first. That's why they always send missionaries first. And then they send mercenaries. But they send the missionaries in. Why? To get you to worship the heaven in the sky. And it's designed to get you to suffer peacefully. No matter how bad things are now, the minute I die, it's going to be all right. While they have heaven right now.
Right.
Ain't that crazy?
That's what Jesus said. He said, many will come in the last day saying, I am the Christ. But they are false prophets. They are wolves and sheep.
And he even said, heaven is within you.
That's
so
right.
How do we get it up there? And then they tell us, look, there's milk and honey, there's pearly gates, all that stuff. Well, look, I could go to the ocean, and I go to California, there's plenty of cows to get milk. And there's bees, I can get me some honey.
Yeah.
So that's telling me I can have a semblance of heaven right now.
Right.
Why I gotta wait to fly up in the sky way beyond the by and by somehow? And if you did some math, I'm a math person, light travels at 186,000 miles per second, right? Now, they have telescopes, they call it a light year. And check this out. Light traveling at 186,000 miles per second, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year, right? So I take 186,000, multiply that by 60, take that answer, multiply that by 60, take that answer, and then take that and multiply by 24, right, for one day, and then take that answer and multiply by 365. That's 1 light year. They have telescopes that can see hundreds of light years into the sky, and they haven't seen heaven yet. Mathematically, that makes no sense. It'll take you 10 lifetimes to get there. Unless somehow when you die, you're going to travel faster than the speed of light.
Wow. Wow. And then one last thing I wanted to talk about, you know, how integration has made an impact on us.
Okay.
The Obama presidency.
Woo!
Man, what did that do for our people? And
that was a huge pacifier. But let me say this. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this, though. Him getting to that position did something good, though he wasn't allowed to do as much good as he would have liked to. However, it put young men's mind on a level that it had never been before. Like, in other words, I can achieve the highest office in the land. So he said that's a genie that can never be put back in the box. That youngsters now look at themselves with the esteem that I can achieve the highest office in the land in America. So it did do something for the self-esteem of black children, okay? But then they put us back to sleep. That's why they opposed everything he did. He had to do most of what he did by executive order. Do you know the Republicans took an oath the day he was inaugurated that they would oppose everything he brought? They took an oath that we're not gonna vote in favor of anything he tries to do.
even if it's our own idea.
We're gonna oppose everything he tries to do. They took an oath of that. Because we can't let this black man not only get to the highest office, but then do a whole lot of good. We can't let that happen. That's why Trump is undoing everything that Obama did by executive order. He's undoing all of it. That's why he tried to undo, he couldn't do it so far. Obamacare, trying to get rid of it. Did it have its flaws? Absolutely. But it gave health care to people that never had it before in their lives.
Well, I mean, of course, the law going to be imperfect. We're prone to make mistakes as we're humans.
Right. It had its flaws.
Right.
However, more people than ever had health care. See? So that was something good.